Hey everyone, my name is John Meldrum, and you're listening to the Brave Dad Now podcast, seeking to inspire and uplift men and dads around the world to be their best selves. So I'm super excited to be with you today, and I have been wanting to get this podcast off the ground for some time now. And for those of you who are new to this podcast, the purpose of this podcast is to help people out there, particularly men and specifically dads and even single dads who are going through a tough time, who are struggling, who are facing life's challenges and just are getting whipped, and they're just needing that extra help and that boost out there. So what I'm going to be doing for the next 30 days is I'm actually participating in a 30-day challenge. And I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Josh Searle, and he's hosting this 30-day challenge. And his challenge was for everyone to do something every day for 30 days in order to help themselves or the people around them. And I thought to myself, wow, this is the perfect opportunity to finally get my podcast off the ground. So I took him up on his challenge. And so starting today and for the next 30 days, I'm going to be posting a podcast every day. So super excited for that. I've already written out all my episodes, so I'm good to go. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So today is episode 2, titled The Art of Good Enough, Dealing with Feelings of Inadequacy as a Single Parent. So let me just kind of give you just the super condensed short version of my life up to this point. I grew up, had lots of life experiences. I was married for almost 5 years. That ended abruptly, and now I'm divorced with 2 small children. So one of the main questions that I'm seeking to answer is the big ultimate why question. Why did you get divorced? What led to your divorce? And that question is something we are going to be focusing on for the next 30 days and kind of unfolding that one layer at a time, because truly it is not just a simple answer. Nor would it be doing justice to myself or my ex-wife to sum it up in a few words. So I'm going to be chipping away at that question for the next little while. So think of it as like a suspense thriller novel, and you have to keep reading to get to the ending, or in this case, keep listening to the podcast episodes. So it's actually going to be really hard to stay focused because everything is just so interconnected and complicated. So I think I've done a pretty good job of categorizing the episodes and focusing on specific things. And there's a bit of a chronology to it, but I decided to do this episode today because I think it captures the spirit of what Brave Dad Now is. And that, again, our mission is to inspire and uplift men and dads around the world to be their best selves. For those of you who are currently single parents, I have to applaud you. It is a very hard road that people really don't understand unless they've actually been through it themselves. It is a completely overwhelming feeling and life situation that you're put into, and unless you've personally gone through it, people just don't know what it feels like or how to really empathize or help you out. So we're going to kind of deconstruct that today, and I want to kind of shine a light on to what a single parents face, some of the feelings that they feel. And again, this is from my perspective. And from a male perspective, and whether you're, what country you're from or what gender or you are, you're going to have different experiences than me. So I don't look at my experiences as right or wrong. It's just my experiences. And hopefully by sharing them with you, it'll bring you a spark of hope, inspiration. Maybe we'll laugh a little bit. Maybe we'll even cry a little little bit. I don't know, but I'm definitely open to that full spectrum of emotions. So let's go ahead and dive into it now that we've done a nice long introduction. Okay, so have you ever felt less of a parent because you are single? Have you ever walked through the store and felt like everybody was looking at you? Did your kid burst out in a tantrum and all you wanted to do was grab your kids and run out of the store, single or not? That probably happens to most parents. But I feel like that anxiety of, oh my gosh, people are watching me, people are judging me. I think that is amplified 10 times when you're a single parent. Because here's the reality. When you're a single parent, you do not have a 24/7 spouse or partner that you can rely on for childcare, for child advice, for parenting, for getting stuff done around the house, just simple things. And because you don't have that support system, it can get very stressful and it can build your anxiety and depression very quickly. Now, what was extra awful in my situation was I am not living with any family members. I am not even close. I'm not even in the same state as any other family members. So when my ex-wife left me, I was wifeless. I had my children taken away from me. I had no immediate support system. I was new to California, so I didn't have like friends, if that makes sense. Not like people are like, hey, can you watch my kids for me? I barely know you. That was my reality. I had to go through what I went through completely alone. And we'll talk about. There's another episode that I'm going to do that's going to talk a little bit more into the power of prayer and how God was able to lift me out of that situation. But we'll save that for another podcast. So I want to share with you a story that's a true story that happened to me that I think kind of captures this idea of feeling inadequate as a single parent. So I had just separated from my ex-wife. She packed up her stuff and left and took the kids, and I didn't see my kids for quite a while, actually. There was a lot of misunderstanding and hurt feelings there. And so I didn't get to see my kids right away. Well, one of the first few, what I call daddy days, that I got to see my kids, I decided to take them to the park. Well, I will never forget the experience that I had, that I drove to the park, it was a warm spring day, got the blanket laid out and everything. And my kids, they went to go play in the playground area, and I remember looking around and seeing all the other parents, particularly the moms, and I just broke down crying. I thought I was just a total failure. I was like, wow, these moms have it all together. They're taking care of their kids. They're laughing together. They got their play groups and they make it look so easy. And here I am, some idiot trying to be a parent to two toddlers, trying to figure out my life situation and trying to be a parent at the same time. And it took all my strength not to just take my kids and just pack up and go and just leave. I didn't want to be out in public. I didn't want people to see me. I didn't ever want to leave the house. But I couldn't do that to my kids because, they have to have fun and not be cooped up and in my house all day. So I had to find that courage, find that bravery to push myself, to force myself to go out into the world and interact with people. When my divorce first happened, I remember very distinctly just not even wanting to get out of bed. I mean, seriously, just the strength it took to breathe. It took effort to breathe. And I remember as I would walk through my apartment, I would put my hands on objects and I would feel it and and I would really take in the moments. Like time just stopped when I got divorced, and every little moment, I took it in and savored it. And especially with my kids, I mean, you don't really appreciate your time with your kids until that's taken away from you. This is one thing that people who are not single, who are still together, that, be thankful that you can see your kids even when they're being bad, even when you want to just wring their little necks. At least you get to wring their little necks. At least you get to be mad at them. At least you get to discipline them or parent them, even when they're being their absolute worst and you feel like selling them to the circus. You still at least have the ability, the choice to be with them. So keep that in mind. Be sensitive to that, to your single friends who may not always have their kids in the way that they want. So the other thing that I experienced was, I think this probably relates a little bit more to men, but I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments. But when I go to the store, when I go to church and other public places, there's actually a bit of sexism that I experience in the form of condescension. And let me kind of explain that so that you can understand. So you can understand. I just bumped the microphone. What I mean by that. So I'm going to the store and I'm with my kids, and all of a sudden somebody comes up to me and like, "Oh, are you with your kids today?" Because my kids are just like ridiculously cute, and everybody wants to come up to them and just love on them. Because I mean, just check out my Instagram. They are just ridiculously cute. And they'll say, "Oh, you're with your kids. Oh, that's so sweet," And then they'll even go a little bit further and say, "Oh, you're giving your wife a break." And I'd say, "Oh, I'm actually not married." Oh, I'm so sorry. What they're really saying is, "Oh, look at you trying to be a parent. It's so cute. It's so adorable. You think you could be a parent?" And I hated it. I hated anybody that would come up to me and make any remarks whatsoever about taking care of my kids, because there was always just this little backhanded, passive-aggressive, condescending tone to it that made me feel like I was inferior, that because I'm a man, I can't be nurturing, I can't be loving, I can't take care of two small children. And my fear was they were probably right. And I didn't want to accept that. I was like, no, I'm a good father. I can do this. At first, it stung really, really hard. And I used to get so mad when those comments would come my way, because I wanted to prove so hard that I wasn't going to be a deadbeat dad, that I was going to be there for my kids, that I was going to be nurturing and loving, and I was going to give them the childhood that I always wanted. That was my determination. That's when I started to become a brave dad, was when I started to really step up and take care of my kids, because they were going through the divorce too. It wasn't just me. They were experiencing the effects of it. And let me tell you, I don't care how old your kids are, they feel the effects of the divorce. My son was 1 and my daughter was 3. And let me tell you, it was... They couldn't cope with it I could barely cope with it. How am I, a grown man who can barely cope with the divorce? How do you think a 1 or a 3-year-old is going to cope with it? All of a sudden, they're not with one parent. They're going back and forth between 2 different homes. That is absolutely just devastating on them. And so, they would say and do things, and that would just make me go, oh my gosh, they're hurting on the inside. And I knew that I needed to step up and be strong for them so that I could help them through this change in our lives. So, that brings me to my next point. Is I got my notes right here. The other thing that is really difficult as a single parent, especially if you're a man, is finding play dates. Usually, So usually women are really, really good at getting together. Like, oh, hey, bring your kids. I'm like, oh, yeah, bring my kids. Oh, let's get together. It's going to be great. Because most of the time, their husbands are off at work and they're home with the kids. Well, me, I'm home with the kids, and it's super awkward because I don't have other single guy friends. I have a couple now, but at the time, I didn't really have any other guy friends who were single, who we would get together and hang out. That just didn't happen. And let me tell you, it's different when you go from being married to divorce and you go to hang out with married friends again. It's kind of awkward. It's just not the same. And I'm trying to think of how to explain it, but it's just different because now that you're single, you're kind of like this. You're back to like being a third wheel. You're in this awkward like, oh, like quasi, well, I have kids, but I'm single, so it's just the most awkward thing ever. So and you don't want to hang out with your true single friends who don't have kids, because they want to go party, they want to go have fun, they don't want to hang around your kids. And so you're really trapped in this awful single, married but not married, have kids, just mess. So be sensitive, all you married people out there, to your single friends, because they need babysitters, they need play dates, they need your help like a married person, but then they also need that alone time. And what I'm getting at is I want to hang out with guys and I want to have some guy time, and their wife won't let them. And what I want to say to you is let if you know that there's a single guy out there who's going through a divorce, he really does need a lot of guy time, and he needs to heal, and that's what I needed. And luckily I was able to find a lot of guy friends, and I was able to, hang out with them, go to the gym and go see movies. So that really helped out a lot. So the other thing is, when you first become single, you have to adjust to the new normal that mostly all parenting decisions, are now solely yours. If some examples of that would be, oh, what should I feed the kids? What should I cook? What clothes should I buy them? When is their bedtime? What's their bedtime routine? Where should we go for this activity? Or what type of medicines should I give them when they're sick? Or, oh my gosh, I got to get the babysitter. What I didn't appreciate at the time was a lot of these things my ex-wife would take care of. And now that she was gone, guess what? I had to take care of it all by myself. But you know what it's really interesting. I actually became a better parent. I became a much stronger parent and a much stronger person. So you think about my relationship when I was married, I didn't have an equal say in parenting decisions. And I didn't realize it at the time, but every time an idea that I would share was shot down, or it's like, oh, no, we need to do it this way, there was just like a little piece of me that was being chipped away. It was kind of like saying, oh, well, your parenting style doesn't matter, or that's not the right way or the best way to do it. My way is the best way. And I think to be vulnerable, though, I think women are much better at being nurturing and taking care of kids, because women are really good at multitasking. They're super good for, most women are good at multitasking and just remembering things and taking care of like little things. And so for me, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot the baby wipes. Oh my gosh. And so now I'm in some weird restaurant. I'm like looking around, hoping and praying that they got like the little that they don't have like a blow dryer for your hands, that they actually have like real paper towels, and then I have to go get it wet and then use that for wipes. And just like little things that I forget and like make me feel like an inadequate parent, and that I feel like women are so much better at. But I'll tell you one thing though, forcing me to get good at the nurturing side of child rearing, especially for young children, has given me a sense of identity and strength that I never knew was there. I am an incredibly strong parent now. I have complete confidence in my abilities. I used to get anxiety when I would go to the store with my ex-wife. I used to think, oh my gosh, it's the kids' naps time. We got to get them back. Code red, code red. They're in full meltdown mode. Oh my gosh, we got to hurry. Now I'm just like, hey, let's hit like 4 more stores. Oh, they're crying. No big deal. They'll fall asleep in the car. We'll give them some food. It'll be fine. And so that's why the title of this episode is The Art of Being Good Enough. It's not that, well, okay, maybe my parenting has gotten a little lazier, but I've gotten so confident in myself, and I've gotten my routines down. Now I can be a little flexible. It's kind of like learning how to, it's kind of like learning the rules and then learning how to break the rules. Once I was able to establish myself as a strong parent, then I was able to kind of be flexible with scheduling things for them and taking them to different activities. So my advice to you is embrace the power of your parenting style. Believe it or not, you actually have a lot of power and knowledge as a parent that you probably didn't know you had. It's probably tucked away somewhere. Now, granted, even if you had lousy parents or your parents made mistakes, or heck, maybe your parents were abusive, there's still a lot of parenting figures in your life that you've looked to, either on a conscious or subconscious level. And you will draw from that information so that you can be a better parent. So to wrap this up, so this isn't too long because I want you guys to enjoy the rest of your day instead of hearing me ramble on. Don't wait for the approval of other people. That was one thing that I struggled with in the beginning. I questioned myself. I doubted myself. Like, is this the right way? Is that the right way? Ultimately, it's just a way, and you're gonna find your own way, your own style of parenting, and you're gonna make mistakes. But guess what? You're gonna learn from those mistakes, and you're gonna get better at it. I'll never forget an experience that I had with my children. So there's kind of this joke, but not a joke, in our family that whenever my kids misbehave, then out comes mean daddy. And so the threat goes a little something like this. My son hits my daughter, and I'll say, buddy, do I need to be mean daddy? And he'll be like, no. I'm like, okay, then stop hitting your sister. And what that alludes to was when I was first parenting my children, I would use physical discipline. I would actually spank my children when they did something naughty. He's one. And I look back and I just want to put my hands on my head and just, say, what was I thinking? Well, the reality was, a lot of times when you suffer from anxiety and depression, you need a release. Everybody needs a release. And people have a billion different ways of having a release. A release can be anything from going to the gym, to reading a book, to watching movies, to drinking alcohol, to smoking a cigarette, doing hard drugs, whatever. We need those releases so that we can release the stress and anxiety in our lives. And anger is also a release. And what I realized was I was using anger in my parenting, and I was using physical discipline because that's what I was taught. That's what happened to me. That's what my parents were to me growing up, is they use physical discipline. Now, I'm not going to say whether it's right or wrong, because every parent is entitled to parent their own way. What I will say, though, is in my particular case, my parents' physical discipline led to a lifelong battle with anxiety and addiction issues, and I'm definitely going to be doing a podcast all on that at another time. But suffice it to say, for now, I realized that I was repeating a cycle that I did not believe in, that I did not want to repeat. And I'll never forget the look on my son's face when one time he was extremely naughty. He pushed my daughter down the stairs, and luckily I caught her about the third step down, and I was livid. He deserved everything that was coming to him. He was gonna get it, and he knew it. And I'll never forget the look of fear on his face, and it just crushed my heart, because my poor sweet squishy little boy was afraid of his dad. And from that point on, I vowed never to use physical discipline, except on extreme cases, to never use physical discipline on my children, just because that was what I was supposed to do, or because I needed to release some anger. I stopped that. I wasn't perfect at first. There was a few times I slipped up, and I did end up swatting him on the butt. But I'm at a point in my parenting where I don't need to use it. I can just use do you need a timeout? Or, do I need to get mean daddy out? Don't even need to go there with them anymore. So, again, how you decide to parent is up to you. And I'm not going to say what is right or what is wrong. But just remember that how you treat your kids will have a large effect on their personality and who they grow up to be. And you have to ask yourself, do you want to be the type of parent where they are afraid of you and they can't come to you? Or do you want to be the type of parent when they make a mistake that you can say, hey, you know what? You made a mistake, and that's okay. And you know what? I make mistakes too. And I'm here for you. And I want you to know that you can come to me anytime you make a mistake. If you can have that kind of a relationship with your kid, that's what it's all about. We all make mistakes, and you need to be there for your kids. And that's what being a brave dad now is all about, is dealing with your inner struggles so that you can be strong for your kids when they stumble and fall, because it'll happen eventually, and you'll be there to pick them up. So, in conclusion, I will say that you are the one meant to raise your child, and you will find a way. So when you have those moments of inadequacy, when you feel like everyone is looking at you and judging you, and you feel like you've completely failed yourself, your children, your family, your peers, and you feel like the world is crumbling down, take courage to know that all those opinions don't matter. That you are the one that ultimately has to raise your child, and what your kids think of you is infinitely more important than what any other person thinks in this world. And so that is what I will end with. And in conclusion, I want to extend an invitation out there for you. I have been working hard on my website. It's www.bravedadnow.com, and I'm now putting my podcasts on there. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be coming up with something called the Brave Dad Now Pledge. And what this pledge is it's a pledge for all men and dads out there, single or married. And what I would like to do is to get all of the dads out there to come up with core values and ideas of things that they think make a brave dad now. So I'm very interested in what your thoughts are. It could be ideas like honor, it could be valor or integrity, honesty, just to throw some ideas out there. And I want to create this pledge, and everybody who contributes an idea, their name is going to be featured on my website. And you get to have a little, a little piece of you will be incorporated into this pledge. And then this pledge is going to be something that I'm going to distribute on all my social media platforms, and then we'll create a hashtag around it, and then that way I can tell everyone to take the Brave Dad Now pledge. And so I'm very excited to be issuing this invitation out to you, and I hope that you take the time to shoot me an email and share with me some of your ideas. You can email me directly at bravedadnow@gmail.com. You can also find me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even YouTube. So I've got all my bases covered. So I'm very excited to be producing this podcast. I want this to go big. Like, I'm talking like Oprah big, okay? Like Tony Robbins big. That's how big I want to get this. And I want to start collaborating with other nonprofit organizations and other resources out there to get help, whether it's education, job hunting, addiction recovery, housing, whatever issues men and dads face and they're not getting help that they need. I want to get them that help, because when I was going through my divorce, I didn't have the help that I needed. And it's through the grace of God that I am here today. And so if you are listening to this podcast, you are now part of the resistance. Okay, maybe not the resistance, but you're now part of the cause. There we go. All right. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to Brave Dad Now. Please subscribe to it. Leave your comments down below. Share it with your friends. Follow us on the social media platforms that mentioned before. And again, we're Brave Dad Now, seeking to inspire and uplift men and dads around the world. Thanks for listening.